Friday, March 27, 2020. Dear Mr. Trump, March 27, 2020. Picture Slang though, from our girl Anna Ritz. SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle, equal, public transmitting, utility, etc, etc. So what? The attached FB friends go to my website to see the document. Rundown shows is that the Exchange Stabilization Fund, a giant currency commodity rigging fund, is being used to buy a fictitious first position interest in other fictional entities. You got a JG right here. In this case, the territorial government is creating new fictitious persons to convey the assets of other fictitious persons belonging to the municipal government, our assets and public transmitting utilities, and offering to use our credit to do it. And all of this is fraud. It was fraud in the beginning, 1868, and in the middle, 1933, and it's still fraud now, 2020. Obama did this same shtick during the 2008-2009 bailout and Big Short on Wall Street. Although billing statements that used to come to John Michael Doe were converted by a similar process to name John M. Doe. And next, unless I am mistaken, they will attempt to roll that person into a John M. Doe or John Doe or some other variation of fictional entity to function as a special purpose vehicle. And all of it is fictional conveyance of language that is fraud. It was fraud to impersonate Americans and create SQ via trust named after them. It was fraud to use dog Latin to convey those trusts. It was still fraud no matter what they do or say. And they still trying to victimize the actual owners of the property to do this. The actual gold, silver, land, and other assets owed to us is staggering. The middleman armed with nothing but hot air and lies are trying to intervene and cut a priority credit status for themselves out of their own lies and fabric of their constructive fraud. The actual assets accounts have been sealed and coded, so they cannot be opened except by the actual living man, Julius de Gracias. Instead of expediting his access to the accounts and allowing him to do his job, the mindless ones have contrived to render him misidentified and helpless while they do everything in their power to prevent the revenue of the actual assets to the actual owners, who are all living people, not governments, not institutions, not corporations. Mr. Trump's advisors are a bit slow on the uptake. They have been told that Julius de Gracia has entered the jurisdiction of the states of the Union and is under the protection of the states of America. He is fully empowered and set free of any possible claim of municipal citizenship obligation or territorial citizenship obligation. It is time for the territorial officers to assist in bringing forth the actual assets accounts instead of playing stupid games aimed at cashiering those accounts to generate fictional credit for themselves. This isn't about gold versus credit versus stocks versus bonds versus cryptos. It isn't United States citizens versus United States versus citizens of the United States either. This is about basic ownership and rights to private and public property that has been prolonged and abused about incorporated government services, corporations abusing their employers in breach of trust, about generations of bankers and politicians and military officers acting in gross breach of trust to defraud, impersonate, impoverish, enslave, and prey upon their own employers, about the Pope playing a two-sided game of fraud and false pretense and employing schemes to impersonate people and disrespect them as things. Dr. Mr. Dear Mr. Trump, it's a sorry business at best. Don't make it worse. No more SPVs being dreamed up by some schmuck in the Treasury Department, Department of Commerce, or DOT. We have denounced the Scottish interlopers' role in 1868, and we denounce its attempts at a repeat performance now. You may not use our credit to buy yourselves an unearned interest in our assets or seek to replace us as the actual parties of interest owed all right, title interest related to the municipal corporation that have been used as fraudulent fictitious conveyance and bankrupt under conditions of fraud too. Notice to agents is notice to principals, and notice to principals is notice to agents. You all need to straighten up and fly right and expedite the revenue of our assets to us. Stop playing this criminal game of deceit and impersonation identity theft. false registrations, and color of law governance. The cats are back. The rats have to go. The boys in blue have been busted, and that's all there is to. Move on, do the right thing, remove the false registrations, and restore the proper owners to the possessions and enjoyment of their own property, free and clear of all debt or encumbrance. Do not offer to use our own credit to buy interest in our estates. Revenue our estates to us. We are clicking our silver slippers together and saying there's no place like home. The only special purpose vehicle that needs to function is the Treasury account for the United States of America, 1789. It needs to transfer all associated assets, including the valid credit assets, back to the United States of America, 1776 mercantile account, and from there to disperse the individual former franchise owners and their states of the Union, not the territorial states of states. And it's time to come clean and talk to the American states and people in terms of their political status choices. Everyone has the right to know and to choose. This could have been done in 1865. For God's sakes, get it done now. You know, we have the key to the assets accounts, and we have now exactly what went on here. Any attempts to lie to the American people or anyone else about the actual ownership and status of our accounts will only result in more acrimony and present day accusations of fraud. Better to lay the blame on FDR than continue this corruption and have nobody to blame but yourself. Friday, March 27, 2020. Dear Mr. Trump,